Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's first video. We're doing the first season one roundup of winter of 2019-2020 for today's first video. So quite a big update to start us off on this Saturday morning. We're going to get 11 long range models together and see what they're all showing for only the first time this season. There will be two more updates after this in October and then at the end of November, and hopefully as we go along we'll be able to add more models into mix. We are a little bit short on models for this one. Actually, we haven't got JMA. That doesn't extend out to the required time frame. It only goes to December at the moment. We're also short of a Beijing Climate Centre as well, I'm afraid, for this one. Not sure what's happened. I think the Beijing Climate Centre website is down, or at least I can't get to the pages that have got the long range data on, annoyingly. I'll try and when it comes back up, those charts come back up, I'll try and feature in another video. Maybe I'll include in tomorrow's 5th winter 2019-2020 update if, as I say, if the Beige Climate Centre is back up and running with their long-range charts. At the moment, I can't reach them, unfortunately. So we're short of that one. We're short of JMA, but we have got 11 to be going on with. So hopefully we'll have a trend by the end of this first winter 2019-2020 update. It's going to be quite a long video, as well as with the long-range stuff, so get yourself a cup of chair and a cup of tea, and later on this video will be placed on the winter updates forecast page with a written summary going over everything that we discuss in the video, so you'll be able to have a read of that and watch the video on demand whenever you want. Coming up later on today, we're going to have the weekend forecast, of course, always on a Saturday, got your weekend look ahead, and also we'll have a week 10-day video update for you as well. Right, so I think that's everything I'm going to tell you. I'll talk about tomorrow's events at the end of the video. So we're going to start off with the Brazilian one. Now, this one doesn't get us to the winter either, or the full winter period. This one goes from November through to January. So it doesn't cover the full winter 2019-2020 forecast period. But it goes far enough in to winter up to January 2020 to be able to include it in this update, whereas the JMA just stops at December, which isn't enough really to be able to include it. So this is the 500 millibar height anomaly from the Brazilian model for November to January 2020. This one always does things a little bit different. So the darker colours, blues and purples, are actually extrapolating to above average heights, which is high pressure, and yellow, orange and red extrapolates to below average heights, which is low pressure. Normally on any other 500 millibar height anomaly that would be the other way round, which is quite an interesting chart to start us off, actually. The Brazilian model is going for an area of above average heights in the Atlantic and mid-Atlantic ridge, seemingly extending back in towards Greenland and up towards the North Pole as well, up to the Arctic. At the same time, it looks like there's a trough of below average heights, low pressure, across the western part of Europe, particularly centred over France, but really covering much of Western Europe. And the squeeze of the ice bars between the high pressure and the low pressure could well be bringing the wind in kind of like from a north or northeasterly direction there. So that does hint that for November to January we could actually have some colder conditions. Now the temperature anomaly is warmer than average, so not seeing anything cold with the temperature anomaly. But then again, these long range models very, very rarely go for below average temperatures. If they do go for below average temperatures, then something shocking is happening. So I won't worry too much about the temperature anomaly. It is a little bit above average. Precipitation anomalies, that tells a tale as well. So you can see that it's going wetter than average here across France and down into southern parts of Europe. Driving average there where we've got the mid-Atlantic ridge. It is a little bit wetter average up towards Greenland though. So maybe that ridge that's extending from the middle of the Atlantic northwards is a little bit weaker, and that does allow perhaps some influences from the Atlantic to be coming through at times. Nevertheless, that's quite an interesting 500 millibar height anomaly to start us off, with a ridge there, a trough there, and then a ridge again over here. So this is going to be bringing up southerly winds into the eastern part of Europe. That would imply quite a mild, excuse me, quite a mild, maybe even fairly warmish winter in the east and the southeast of Europe. But at the same time, the west could be a little bit colder, I think, on that sort of setup. quite an interesting one to start us off. Remember, that's just covering November to January, though it doesn't cover the full winter 2019-2020 period. Every other model that you see from now on will cover the full winter period. We go through to CANSIP, so we go from Brazil up to Canada. This is at tropicaltidbits.com, and you can find links to all of these websites on the links page at GWV as well, by the way. So, with this one, this is mean sea level pressure anomalies. This is sort of quite interesting as well to start us off. It's going for low pressure to be to our south, high pressure to be, or higher pressure anyway, to be to the north. And that could be bringing in some east or northeasterly winds as well. You would expect there to be a southerly tracking jet stream coming in with this as well. The blue colours are down here, so you'd expect the jet to be on a southerly track. Some high pressure is up there, and I think that could deliver us quite a coldish, maybe fairly wintry sort of winter. The temperature anomaly from CANSIP is actually ever so slightly below average, which is very unusual for any long-range seasonal model. They nearly always go with above average temperatures, whatever the stochastic pattern is, and normally above average. CANSIP is actually going slightly cooler or even colder than average. Not a big deviation, but if you see anything blue really with these temperature anomaly maps, normally something quite interesting and relatively dramatic is going on. Precipitation-wise, it's precipitation only for winter 2019-2020, so it's going drier than average out to the north and west of us, wetter than average down to the south of us. So you can see where the low pressure and the jet streams are going to be coming in with in that sort of direction. And of course, the high pressure is going to be up here, and possibly over there too, and so the squeeze of that is going to be bringing in potentially anyway some easterly winds. So quite interesting models to start us off with. The Brazilian model and CANSIP's looking pretty interesting, I think, to get us going with this first winter 2019-2020 seasonal model roundup. The next model is the IRI multi-model probability forecast. This, of course, coming from International Research Institute for Climate and Society. It's part of Earth Institute and Columbia University. This is the temperature probability for the winter of 2019-2020 for Europe. And this looks relatively interesting again as well. Notice that the parts of Scandinavia, actually there is a low probability of being cooler than average, and some of these central parts of Europe too. There's a little bit of blue, quite unusual for these probability maps from IRI. So for the UK and for Ireland, we're actually coming out with no signal really. It's coming out either normal or possibly no signal. White indicates climatological odds. So I think that basically means there's neither a chance or a probability of being below or above average. But again, these generally show warmer than average, these temperature probability forecasts. So anything that deviates from red on these maps is quite unusual. Notice that for eastern and southeastern parts of Europe, again, there's a signal for things to be warmer over there. The probability is much greater that they're going to have a warmer winter over in the eastern part of Europe. And the way nature balances itself out is that when eastern parts of Europe are warm, northern and western parts of Europe tend to be colder. So that's another relatively interesting model to get us going again for this first winter 2019-2020 update. Precipitation probability from IRI for December, January, February 2019-2020 looks like that. Rather an unsettled winter being indicated. Probability is in the above normal category for the UK and also much of Central Europe as well. Looks dry on average down to south, so it does hint perhaps at some high pressure down towards Spain. Also, though, it might hint at a bit of high pressure over Scandinavia. It's a bit drier than average there with the probability. And perhaps bring the jet stream through a bit like that. So, slightly to the south of northern Europe could allow things to be a little bit colder, perhaps across the northern parts of Europe. But anyway, a closer average with temperatures or no particular signal, and a rather wettish winter being forecast by the IRI probability maps today. Then we go through to Patel Peng's analogue. So Patel, of course, is working within the umbrella of NOAA in the United States. So with this, the forecast is being produced by analogues. So Patel is looking at sea surface temperature anomalies across the Earth in any given month, in this particular case in August 2019, and then from that creating an analogues-based forecast comparing back to past years, had a similar sea surface temperature anomaly, and then looking to see what the weather patterns did going forwards. This is the 200 millibar height anomaly for winter 2019-2020 from Patel Peng, going for an area of above average heights, high pressure in the middle of the Atlantic. Below average heights are up to the north, probably bringing in a bit of a northwesterly type flow. So you would expect a relatively dry and probably fairly mild winter to be coming through with that. Temperature anomalies actually quite substantially above average. So the scale is down here. It's between around 1 and 2 degrees above average, with Patel Peng's analogues definitely going for a milder than average winter. That's the first model, of course, that we've seen so far, but it's going for a definitively mild winter pattern. I think precipitation-wise, a bit of a mixed bag. Northern areas look a little bit wetter than average. South of us actually looks a little bit drier than average. I think that's quite a westerly winter being seen by Patel Peng, and definitely a westerly winter being seen by the CFS V2. So this will be 700 millibar height anomaly from the CFS for winter of 2019-2020. And this is what it's showing. So it's going for an area of above average heights to be to our south and below average heights to be to our north. The ever reliable CFS V2 is therefore bringing in west to southwesterly winds, and that is, of course, is a mild Atlantic driven, a rather zonal winter pattern that CFS is forecasting at the moment. Temperature anomalies are substantially above average for the winter of 2019-2020 with the CFS. It's unleashing the west-southwesterlies and is going for a significantly warmer than average winter, not just for the UK and for Ireland, but through many parts of Europe. Actually, the warmest anomaly to average is from Scandinavia to the Baltic and then back into the west of Russia. And then precipitation anomaly with CFS V2 is wetter than average in the western part of the UK. So for Ireland, western Scotland, Wales, southwestern, above average rainfall there, near normal. For eastern parts of England and Scotland, much wetter than average across Scandinavia. I mean, it's all just pointing towards low pressure and west-southwesterly winds driving in, very mild Atlantic-driven air. And therefore a mild and wet winter being forecast by the CFS for winter 2019-2020. The ECMWF actually looks similar. This is mean sea level pressure anomaly for the winter of 2019-2020 from the ECM. And it's going for low pressure to be dominant to our north, high pressure to be to the south, a strong west or southwesterly wind. Again, another model that is going for an Atlantic-driven zonal westerly winter. Temperature anomalies with the ECM seasonal model are being forecast to be above average, not just for the UK, but through most parts of Northern Europe as well, similar to what the CFS is showing. Scandinavia to the Baltic and then back to west of Russia is actually the warmest areas to average, but all parts of Europe are being forecast to have a milder than average winter. And precipitation wise, again, looks rather wet, particularly to the north and to the west of us. So we see above average rainfall predicted there across much of northern Britain, up in towards Scandinavia as well, wetter than average. So again, you can quite clearly see what's going on here. Low pressure is going to be coming through like that with the jet stream. We'll have high pressure probably down there around the Azores. It's just a classic westerly zonal Atlantic driven winter being forecast there. Moving on to the Copernicus products, so starting with mean sea level pressure anomalies from Meteo France. This is how Meteo France is forecasting the winter of 2019-2020 from a mean sea level pressure anomaly perspective. It's going for high pressure to be over and to the south of the country. Low pressure is up to the north. That will be bringing in west or southwesterly winds. That's a mild but perhaps somewhat drier signal from Meteo France. The temperature anomaly is warmer than average, milder than average this winter up to our north, near normal elsewhere. It's not a particularly strong signal, but you would expect a milder than average winter with that high pressure centre just to the south of the country. And precipitation anomalies, no particularly strong signal really from Meteo France for precipitation, but I would have thought the northern parts of the country, northern Scotland, western Scotland, Northern Ireland, most sort of areas like to be quite wet. I would have thought in that pattern England and Wales could be reasonably dry. And we go through to the DWD, and this is also looking Atlantic driven. So after those earlier models that were doing something a little bit different, a little bit unusual, now we're really seeing the Atlantic in business with the rest of these models seemingly. So we're bringing in again west or southwesterly winds here with the mean sea level pressure anomaly from the DWD. Temperature anomalies are above average. It's going for a milder than average winter, not just for the UK, but through most parts of Northern Europe as well. Precipitation anomalies looking a little bit above average, I have to say. It's not a big deviation, but overall I think we are on the wetter than average side, especially to the west and the southwest of the UK. So that's definitely an Atlantic driven, rather wet and potentially, I suppose, quite stormy winter looking possible there. And then we're on to the CMC, which of course is the Mediterranean long range model. This one looks very similar to Meteo France, really, and also I suppose the GWF. Low pressure is to the north with mean sea level pressure anomaly for winter 2019-2020 with this one. High pressure is to the south. There's those westerly winds, and yes, it's just another Atlantic driven model here. All products from Copernicus seemingly going for the same kind of pattern. They must be picking up on the same thing that's driving these westerly signals, I would have thought. The temperature anomaly is slightly above average, not as high as some of these models are going for, but even so, it's on the milder than average side. Notice how warm the winter is being forecast to be across much of Northern Europe, Scandinavia, back to Western Russia, having an exceptionally mild winter, kind of like going to 2 degrees or more above average, perhaps. And precipitation anomalies, again, very much samey really, with all of these models from the Copernicus suite. So northern parts of the country, again, wetter than average, drier than average down towards Spain. So again, we can quite clearly see where the high pressure is likely to be. High pressure is down there, low pressure is up here. And therefore we're bringing up those warm or mild west or southwesterly winds. This is what Jamstec is going for, and we're at the penultimate model now for this first winter 2019-2020 update. So Jamstec is forecasting, again, a very mild winter, warm winter, really, through much of Europe. Notice that many of these areas are substantially above average, going into those red colours. That goes to 2 degrees above average, I would have thought. For the UK, actually, we're just on the periphery of something a little bit cooler. So Scandinavia is a little bit cooler. And for the UK, well, England and Wales is slightly milder than average, but actually Scotland and Northern Ireland ever so slightly below average. Notice a cold winter, actually very cold winter, being forecast through much of North America with Jamstec. Precipitation-wise, again, similar to what a lot of these models are showing, going for a wetter than average winter with above average rainfall. So again, it's the same sort of idea, I think, really. Reading between the lines, it looks like we've got quite a bit of high pressure down there where it's driest. Low pressure is through here, perhaps just a little bit further south with the low pressure with the jet stream with Jamstec. Does allow perhaps for some ridging up to the north, something slightly colder coming to the north at times. But overall, that's another Atlantic-driven wet and mild winter being forecast from Jamstec. And then finally, we've got our very own UK Met Office GLOW-C5 long-range model. So again, this is mean sea level pressure anomaly. It's for the winter of 2019-2020. And it's in line with so many of these other models, except ones that we started off with. So again, above average pressure, high pressure through France, Spain, Portugal. Let's change the colour, low pressure, and it really is deep low pressure to the north of us with all of these blue colours. Here come the west-south westerlies. So again, it's another model that's Atlantic driven. That would mean a much milder than average winter, above average temperature anomalies being forecast with those west or southwesterlies through most parts of Europe, and the UK is included in that, substantially warmer than average winter. And then finally, precipitation-wise, winter 2019-2020, it's wetter than average, so a mild, potentially very mild, but also wet or very wet winter with rampant westerly or southwesterly winds being forecast as areas of low pressure barrel in from off the Atlantic. So we started off quite interesting with this first winter 2019-2020 update, as the first at least couple of models did hint at something a little bit colder, I reckon, particularly, of course, CANSIT, but also re-materialise the Brazilian model and possibly IRI probabilities too. But then after that, everything else really was going for milder than average. So you have to say that the consensus, or the trend, I suppose, with this first winter 2019-2020 season one round is very much for a milder, wetter than average winter. Westerly is dominant, and just a very, very zonal westerly winter is the trend here that we've got. So it's the first update, but quite clearly we do have a trend, and it's for an Atlantic driven and zonal winter. Now, all I'd say is that it's very early days. We're only at September, so we've got October and November's updates to go with these long-range models. And of course, next month we're going to add more models to the update. So hopefully we're going to get the Brazilian model back, not the Brazilian model, the Bayesian climate center model back very shortly. As soon as we get that back, I'm going to bring you the models in a future update. It may be in one of next week's week to 10-day video updates, could even be in tomorrow's fifth winter 2019-2020 update. Depends when they get those long-range charts back up and running at the Bayesian Climate Centre. But as soon as I can, I'll bring you that. Otherwise, we'll hopefully, if the website's working, be able to include it in next month's second winter 2019-2020 season one roundup. And next month we'll be able to bring the JMA on stream as well. So we shall see what all these models are showing next month, but for this month, definitely the trend, despite the first couple of models, the trend in this update is towards westerlies, it's towards Atlantic driven, it's towards low pressure really, although high pressure down to our south. Therefore, it's the trending towards a milder, but also a wetter than average winter. We shall see what these long-range models have to say next month. Coming up later on today, we're going to have the weekend forecast, and then have a week to 10-day video update later on this afternoon. This video will be placed on the winter updates and forecast page with a written summary going over everything that we discussed in the video. I'll get that up for you, hopefully sort of later this afternoon or early evening. I've got to get the fifth winter 2019-2020 update together this season, so I'll have to get this season one roundup onto winter updates page quite early, I suppose. And coming up tomorrow, we're going to have the fifth winter 2019-2020 update, and it is going to be another epic. I'm not sure if it'll run to an hour or not, but it will definitely be another epic video. And there'll be a live chat on YouTube, on the Gas Service YouTube channel, between 5 and 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, going over everything that we discuss in the fifth winter update, and of course taking as many questions as we can in that live stream on the Gas Service YouTube channel. Please subscribe to YouTube. If you watch this on gasworthviz.com, watch videos on gasworthviz.com, we aren't live streaming the Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening live streams on gasworthviz.com. We keep them purely for YouTube, so you will need to subscribe to YouTube to be able to be alerted for when that live stream is going on between 5 and 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. Right, well, that's everything. I'll be back later on with your weekend forecast and then week's 10-day video update after that. But for the first winter 2019-2020 update, season 1 roundup, I should say, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.